Just a follow up from my previous video, I did forget to record the end of it, but I ended up doing 158 kilometers. Vast majority of that was full throttle on the freeway. We ended up seeing a fuel average of 3 litres per 100 Ks, which is of course with the new 120cc Uminashi fuel injector. I do expect to see that figure drop a little, you know, as my riding varies, but I didn't end up doing the video I had originally intended, as it just ended up getting cold and windy and I just was not having a very pleasant ride, so I just decided to turn around and leave the video there. Something else that came up was throttle cable Freeplay adjustment. Now, I had suggested that you can technically make an adjustment here, but the proper way to do it is of course under the engine, but there is no adjustment here or further down the cable. So what I wanted to do was actually follow that down to the source and check. Right, so as we see, we follow the throttle cables down, there they are through there. They come right up under the engine. Right, so the cables come down here. Now there is one Phillips head screw to undo this cover, and these are your two adjustments here, which this bottom one is your return spring, this bottom one is your return cable, and this one's the main throttle cable. Now, I don't believe I currently need to make an adjustment here. Now, you really do need two hands to do this job, but it is a bit of a pain taking the covers off, but it is an accessible and fairly easy job to do to adjust the Freeplay. But look, don't take my word for it. Unless there's significant slop in your throttle, there's probably no need to make that adjustment from stock unless you are actually replacing the cables. Let me see, grab a handful of throttle from up here. I'm barely moving that here. You can see the cable being pulled taut. Incidentally, back here is my JB weld patch that's holding up nicely, because of course I ground away the original throttle stop and ended up throwing an error code in the ECU. But like I say, I don't believe I've got any Freeplay to adjust. But that is the way to make that adjustment. There's no two ways about it. All right. So one of the questions that's come up is, can I read the engine RPM? And yes, I can. So the question was, what's the bike idling at versus what is the upper RPM limit? So we're going to start the engine. Now, it has already been warmed up. Now, it does appear to be idling high. The service manual says that it needs to be 1500. I'm going to let that run for a minute and see if it drops. So it appears my bike seems to be idling about 200 RPM higher, but you wouldn't tell just by listening to it. I'm not here to adjust the idle speed though. We're here to check the upper RPM limit. So let's see how we go. There we have it. 9,031 RPM is the upper limit. Finally, the only question that came up was, how did I feel about the rear brake response? And my answer was to remove almost all the Freeplay out of the system. Now, when it came to me stock, this was coming all the way down to about here. Whether or not this is the combined braking system here, you'll notice as I press down on the pedal, it activates this cable, which goes all the way up to the front. Realistically, to disable the combined braking, you would just remove this pin and pluck this cable out, and there would be no actuation to the front. But I don't find this to be a particularly invasive system, and it really doesn't have that much effect on the front brakes anyway, so I don't think you would get any extra bite out of the rear brakes by disabling this combined braking system. Just leave it the way it is. It works perfectly fine. Alright, that's it. I'll button everything up and put the bike away.